If you've got weak and stiff ankles, chances are you're experiencing some limitations with squats, lunges, and other dynamic movements. Personally, I've had my fair share of ankle issues, a lot of sprained ankles over the years playing baseball and football. I actually broke this left ankle and fibula, and I have a plate and 6 screws in here. And while injuries like this suck, it's been a great teacher for me in learning how my ankle functions and how it impacts the rest of my body's movement. So in this video, I'm gonna take you through a series of exercises that I use to build strong and mobile ankles, and you'll be able to take this into any athletic activity and feel confident in your body and your movement. So first move we're gonna go into is some ankle flexion. So I'm sitting on my sit bones. I can use my hands to support me here if I need to. I'm going to plantar flex, and then I'm going to dorsiflex. So going back and forth, you can feel the musculature of your lower legs working there. So I'll typically do this for about 20 or so reps. I want to get some good activity through the ankle. Whew. All right, so hopefully got a little blood pumping, a little connection going through that lower leg and into the ankle. Now the ankle doesn't just move like a hinge though. We want to add some rotation to it. So I'm actually going to widen out my legs a little bit, and I'm going to take it into some ankle circles. And again, something that can be helpful is just placing your hands to the knee. And with that, as I circle through here, it's not me moving through the hips or the tibia. It's me really focusing on that circle through the ankle, especially here where I get this nice stretch down the outside, really doing our best to feel that movement in the ankle joint. We're gonna reverse directions. On this left side, especially going this direction, I get a lot of tightness right here. And so with that, I just gotta slow it down and I gotta really feel it out. And that's just something I gotta continue to show up for, some good maintenance with my ankles. All right, so I'm definitely feeling it. Wiggle out any of that tension. Now that we've mobilized the ankles, better understand how we're moving at that particular area of the body, it's time to load those areas. So I grabbed a chair. You can also use a wall for this, and eventually you won't need that, but we're gonna load the top of the ankle, the top of the foot with toe pulls. So I'm going to lean into the chair, balance on my left leg, little bit of hinge action, and then I'm going to place the top of my foot, okay? The toes like so. Extend through the hips a little bit as I drive the top of my foot into the ground. So we're really mobilizing that ankle, the top of the foot, to get a little bit more space in that region. And you may feel this stretch travel up from the ankle. All the stuff that's happening in the ankle and the foot, that information makes a big impact on what's happening through the hip and the pelvis. And then we'll switch over to the other side. And you can start to play with where the pressure is on the top of the foot. So if I were to show you back here, as I drive into that, I can go a little bit more big toe. You're gonna notice maybe a little bit of movement through the pelvis. And this allows me to stretch more of that inner line from the ankle up to the hip. I can also start to spiral a little bit away and kick that heel away. So the pressure is now on the outside of the top of the foot. And we can start to stretch that outer line. A lot of tension held there. Drive the top of the foot into the ground. I can play with where I put that pressure. Notice that stretch change a little bit. And then rotate, kicking that heel away. This could be a flow like I'm doing right now. And I will say the first few times you do this, you might experience some cramping in the feet. That's okay, as long as you're not in a full all-out cramp. It might be a good idea to just hang out, breathe, and let your body know that it's cool to stay there, that it's safe to stay there. Now we're gonna do the reverse. So we're gonna get into the dorsiflexion, and this is one that you're gonna see a lot of when it comes to ankle mobility exercises. I'm going to stay heavy through the heel. I like to keep it a little off the ground there. And then I'm just gonna flex with the knee over the toe. A big thing that happens is coming onto the ball of the foot. And there's actually nothing wrong with this. I really like this position. But what happens is we kind of lose some depth at the ankle. You can see now this is a little bit more of a right angle as opposed to being nice and acute. So we want to get heavy, and you can see I'm doing the same thing through the back heel. We can get heavy through that heel and create a little bit more depth through that ankle. And this is going to require that you put pressure through the big toe pad, the outer pad, and the heel if possible. And if you don't touch the ground with the heel, that's okay. You're gonna hang out here for 30, 40 seconds, building some active tension by driving that foot into the ground. Ankle depth, knee depth, hip depth, right? All integrated in this movement. Switching over to the other side, same thing. Flexing into that ankle. If you come off the heel, that's fine. Just think, chopping and feeling that depth in the foot, in the ankle, driving through that big toe pad, outer pad, and at least heavy through the heel. Again, breathe in, creating some active tension here. And if you don't have a chair, you can do this from a kneeling lunge position. This is going to be more demanding on mobility. And you could also go figure 4 here or a cowboy position as well. Now we're going to load this in ankle inversion. And this is one of the positions right here where a lot of people sprain their ankle. And the reason people sprain their ankle is because they're not used to loading in this position. I'm doing my best to stretch the space between my ankle bone and my heel. So, slight step forward, rolling to the outside, eyes are up, and then making sure I press through all 3 points of contact when I come back through that foot. Just finding a spot that allows you to glide through your ankle here without a ton of discomfort, something that feels safe and manageable right now. Switching over to the other side, we don't need a ton of reps, maybe 10, 12 reps. Again, doing our best to stretch that space between ankle bone and heel bone. Eyes are up. Now we're gonna take it over to the inside part of the ankle and take our ankle through eversion. And this is gonna require a small stride over to the side. And I'm going to do my best to feel that inner edge here. So now I'm stretching the space between my heel and my inside ankle bone and feeling this area lengthen. I'm rolling onto the inside and I'm back. Again, eyes up. Taking it through about 10, 12 reps, allowing that ankle to glide. Switching over to the other side. So now gliding through that left ankle. Doing my best to feel that movement occur, sense that movement at the ankle, right? I could start to compensate through other areas of my body, especially if the ankles are a little stiff. So simply doing our best to sense and feel movement there. So we've mobilized the ankles and we've started to apply some load through different movements of the ankles. Now we're gonna integrate this with some key movements. And the big one that I know you wanna improve on is the deep squat. Just go ahead and sink into what you have in terms of your deep squat. And this may be here, this may be with the heels off the ground. That's totally fine. What I want you to focus on here though is depth through the ankle. So if I'm through here, my calves are super active, right? A lot of pressure in my knees and I kind of lose my hips a little bit. If I get deep through my ankles, the knee joint starts to open up a little bit and I actually can sit back into my hips. Getting into that heel deep squat, if I'm kind of rounded here, that's not really gonna apply to some active movement, especially movement that we wanna load. So think about tilting the tail up just slightly there, and that will give you a little bit more load through the shin and through that ankle. And this might be tough. Again, come off those heels if you need to. Just feel that hip crease. Now, another common thing you see with ankle mobility and squats is elevating the heels. And I want you to know this is not cheating. This really allows you to feel your hips go back and be able to sink into those ankles with a little bit more assistance on that mobility. So this could be a really good place to start. I like a towel here. You could also go with books, whatever you need to do to elevate those heels and feel into that active depth at the ankle, active depth at the knee, and active depth at the hips. Hanging out here, breathing, driving the ball of the foot into the ground. Here we've got the heel on the towel, so I'm also creating pressure through there. And some nice tall posture through the spine. We can start to take this into some squats where I'm feeling into the depth of those three joints and continuing to send those knees over the toes to build a little bit more mobility through those ankles. Now let's take some of what we've learned already, what we're feeling and sensing in our bodies, into the split squat. We're focusing on the ankle, but it's really a full integration of that lower limb and a full integration through the entire body. Get into this split stance or this lunge position. I'm gonna drive through the big toe pad and the outer pad of my back foot, and I'm gonna get heavier through the heel or just lengthen through there. So now I'm feeling a little bit more stretch at the front of the hip. Now I'm gonna take this into a split squat, sending my knee as far as I possibly can over the toe, ideally with that heel on the ground. But again, you could stick something underneath the heel. You could elevate the heel slightly. Just make sure you're feeling the depth here. It doesn't need to be a calf raise as we're going through that. Lengthening into this, heavy through the heel, holding this position, and it may not look like this. That's fine. Get into what you can get into. Breathe, allow that depth to continue to open up through the ankle, through the knee, through the hip. Man, that felt pretty good after what we did so far. We're gonna go ahead and switch over to the other side. Active through that back leg. Send the knee over the toe. Depth through the ankle. And again, we wanna focus on presence here. Connecting with the body. Allowing it to open up, mobilize, but also feel strong in these positions. Certain activities, certain sports are gonna be more bouncy and explosive, and we want to start to pattern that level of intensity through the ankle. Find the ball of the foot. I don't have a ton of room here, but I don't think I'm gonna hit the ceiling. We're simply gonna do POGO jumps. So when my foot hits the ground, I wanna have a quick response. Doesn't need to be super high. As you start to build up more tolerance for that explosivity through your feet, through your ankles, through your body, you can start to increase the intensity of this exercise. I'm trying to create that force. So And over time, you're feeling this in your feet and your ankles, but you're gonna start to feel this through the whole body. Integrate that through the ankle, through the whole body. Whew. Need to catch my breath real quick. Whew. Last move we're gonna do is the ice skater, which allows us to start to load that explosivity laterally. I'm gonna swing my arms over to the right, and you can see I have that support with his back foot. You can pick that up over time, but we wanna land in that foot. 3 points of contact, and then notice the difference between kind of coming up and landing like this versus staying low and loading through that ankle and foot, creating force. Plant, 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 plant. We're not rolling into the foot, but we're loading in that direction and then also exploding out of the foot. So you're getting some of that inversion and eversion that we worked on earlier. Everything we did in this video fits into a simple 3-step process that can be applied to any joint in the body. First, we mobilized the ankle to better sense and feel that area of the body and how it's moving. Then we applied load to the ankle in plantar flexion, dorsiflexion, inversion, and eversion. And then lastly, we integrated it into movements that we wanted to express that ankle mobility and strength in. So we took it into the squat, the split squat, and then into some basic plyometrics with the pogos and that ice skater. If you want to improve your ankle mobility and strength, show up for this work consistently and you're gonna notice those gains. You're going to be able to move through the ankle much better, and you're gonna be able to apply that movement to what you wanna do with your movement practice. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment if you got any further questions, and until next time, stay smooth.